Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Family Time. It is your favorite time. A very special welcome to those who are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube Live. Family Time is about your issues and your relationships, your family abroad and your family abroad, your community family. It's really for one and all. So, Family Time is produced by the Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which lead to a healthy nation. So please stay with us and please be sure to join us on all our platforms. We are on Facebook and YouTube, which are live, and also via Instagram, where you can keep up with what is happening. I am your host for today, Tamika Scott Walters. So today's topic, there are times when family can be some of the most frustrating people that we know. Not true? Hmm. Unfortunately, there is a very fine line between healthy family relationships and those that can leave long and sometimes very lasting emotional scars. Those scars can destroy one's family. Now we know no one is perfect, and so there is no such thing as a perfect family, but neither the nuclear or the extended version have to be so dysfunctional. Not true? Hmm. Well, today we are going to explore the very interesting topic, things that destroy families. Yes, you heard that right. Things that destroy families. And to start us off is today's question. What has caused the biggest rift in your family? What has caused the biggest rift in your family? Please, we ask you to send your answers via WhatsApp text or voice notes. Remember to keep them 30 seconds or less, and you may send to 876-997-3125, or you may call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. Remember, you can also watch us on all our social media platforms and you can comment there. We will be right back, so please stay with us as we have our very special guest for today, Dr. Caroline Powell Booth. We'll be back soon.
Remember the song and its actions from children's school? Around the walls of Jericho the army went. What does the story of Jericho teach us? What does the Bible say? Tuesday, March 26 on The Rock. Join guests Reverend Errol Rattray and Roland Gale as they discuss the topic, The Falling of the Wall of Jericho. That's The Rock, Tuesday, March 26 at 10 a.m. here on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to one and all. You are tuned to your favorite program here on Love 101, and it is Family Time. Doc, a very special welcome to you. Our guest this evening, if you're just joining us, is Dr. Powell Booth. Dr. Powell Booth is a licensed clinical psychologist. Doc, how you do?
I'm well, thanks, Tamiko. How are you?
Doc, I'm doing good, but the topic that you will be sharing on today has got me thinking, and so I'm just happy and excited to be a part of today's discussion.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, it's a very, very heavy but critical topic for us to discuss.
Absolutely, and we're happy to have the doc in the house, so you have the opportunity to all our listeners to have your question questions answered. Again, if you are just joining us, our topic for today is things that destroy families. We want to hear from you, or radio listeners, or social media listeners. So, answer today's question. What has caused the biggest rift in your family? What has caused the biggest rift in your family? Please to WhatsApp your text, send your text and your voice notes, and you may send to 876 997 3125. Remember to watch us also on our social media pages and be sure to call to participate in studio lines at 876 968 8327 or 8328. Now, to break it all down, Doc, it's really over to you. We're asking what's the biggest rift in one's family? But I mean, in today's 2024, Doc, I have to ask, what is a family?
Well, that's important, Tamika. That's a good starting point. We have different types of families, but families in general really refer to a group of persons who are related, usually by blood, but sometimes it includes persons who are not necessarily related by blood, but who are included in that unit and who live together usually. That would include, for example, we have nuclear families that includes parents and children. We also have extended families where we have other relatives such as grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. We have single parent families where either the mother or the father is the lone adult in the household taking care of the children. And we have those are the main ones. So we'll
Okay,
just
Doc,
start with
thank
this
you.
one now.
Yeah, so we have different types of families, and it's normally common one for us, a group of people who are they can be living together, Doc, or not living together. If they're not living together, we still say it's family.
We still say family, although in sociological terms, there are some who don't consider persons who are not necessarily living together as family. They're considered relatives. But
Ah,
but for all intents and purposes, our families really include persons who are not living with us. So those would be our extended family members who occasionally either we go to spend time with or they come to spend time with us. But
okay, Doc.
there's some genetic connection usually, or we have persons who are adopted.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that clarity. I understand better. So, Doc, we know the types of family. We have the distinction between family and relative, those who were within a shared space and living together with. Um, we hear the saying very often, a dysfunctional family. But what really is the meaning of dysfunction? How do we distinguish if, boy, maybe it's just creative, my family creative and a little bit crazy? You know, or are wondering, are we on the dysfunctional side? What is a dysfunctional family?
Well, before we even get into what a dysfunctional family is, we have to know what is a functional family.
Ah, yes.
So, God intended for families to provide certain basic needs: food, clothing, shelter, a loving, warm, caring environment for their offspring, right? And when the family becomes dysfunctional now, is when the families are not meeting the basic needs. It's either that they're not providing the food, the clothing, the shelter, they may be neglecting the members of the family, they may be abusing them, they just may have difficult relationships, a lot of conflict, and it results sometimes in um, even mental ill health to occur if it is sustained and not dealt with properly.
Okay, so the family that is functional should fit the description of meeting the needs as designed by God for the family. So anything
Absolutely.
that is, like what we say, runs contrary to that, or anything that is opposite to that, that then is a dysfunctional family.
Right, because really what we mean when we say dysfunctional is that it's not working as it should, you know,
Okay.
in
Oh,
whatever form.
okay. So, Doc, if it's not working as it should, I have quite a few things sometimes that don't work as it should. Maybe a
Hmm.
iron works,
Hmm.
they get a little heat, but not a lot. So I'm wondering with dysfunctional families, if they don't work as they should, do we then have different types of dysfunctional family or different stages of a dysfunctional family?
Well, we can look at it this way, just as how, the analogy that you referred to a while ago with that iron is not working, it's probably heating, but it's not heating as hot as it should. Similarly, with dysfunctional families, we have different levels of severity of the dysfunction. So we may have just mild dysfunction happening. So, like that iron, it's warming up, but it's not, very, very hot. Or we may go to the other extreme where we have severely dysfunctional families where things are just in chaos, confusion, and members of the family are either unhealthy and or unhappy. Sometimes they may be also unsafe, and so we need to have some sort of intervention for them.
Okay, Doc. So I appreciate the distinction then, and I now know that there are different levels. And if it gets to a stage, then intervention of some sort may be required. How do we know whether we are, the good old version, hot? We have hot, cold, and lukewarm.
Hmm.
How do we know if we're up, down, in between? What are some of the telltale signs to know that we are at the stage that help and intervention is required?
All right. If any member of the family is in any kind of danger as a result of something happening in the family that's causing this danger, that's a red flag. Intervention is necessary. So, for example, if within the family there is intimate partner violence, either the husband or the common law husband is, or the boyfriend is abusing the wife, or vice versa, because we have it going both ways. Sometimes the woman is the perpetrator of the abuse, and this abuse can take several forms. It can take the form of physical abuse, it can take the form of sexual abuse, it can take the form of psychological abuse or neglect. So if
Okay,
any kind of abuse or neglect is taking place, and this is happening within the family, it is absolutely in the severe form that this function is taking place, and intervention is necessary.
all right, Doc. Thank you for that. So, listeners, you heard if there is any type of abuse, emotional, psychological, physical, that is when you need to know, hey, help and intervention is needed. And that is because the family should be the first place one goes to for love, acceptance, and support. Regrettably, there are many families who are failing miserably as family members do things to undercut family unity, causing dysfunction. Think about that for a bit. In the meantime, please don't forget to share with us what has caused the biggest rift in your family. We are looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And remember, we can have your questions answered by Doc, who is in the house. Please send your WhatsApp text and voice notes. Please to keep them 30 seconds or less, and you may send to 876-997-3125. And remember, call a friend, tell a friend, your neighbor, auntie, cousin. We are on Love 101 and we are live. Remember, you may call our studio lines also at 876-968-8327 or 8328 to participate. For your information, please get a piece of paper, take your phone out, write it down. The numbers for the Family Lives Ministry head office in Kingston are 876-920-1034 or 876 926 8101. We will be right back, so stay tuned.
The Morning Watch. Thought provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with attorney at law Stokely Marshall and the in depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. The Morning Watch. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The Morning Watch is on the family station Love 101.
Importers, the Jamaica Customs Agency is revolutionizing your clearance experience as our contactless clearance process becomes mandatory on April 2, 2024. This process will facilitate the clearance of all non-commercial personal shipments at our seaports with a CIF value of less than $5,000 being inspected by customs without you or your agent present. You're encouraged to make your payments using our customs mobile app, JA Customs Connect. Fees payable to your shipping agent and warehouse operator remain applicable. For further information, contact your freight forwarder or email contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm or call 876-922-5140 The JCA's contactless clearance process is convenient, efficient, and secure. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Portmore Church of God Music Department presents Rhythm and Praise on Friday, April 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. featuring Rhoda Isabella, Rhonda Positive, John Mark Wigan, Audia Spencer Brown, Minister Lee Brown, and Queen Saj, MC Dexter Johnson at the Portmore Church of God, Edgewater, Portmore. Admission 3,000 pre-sold and 3,500 at the gate. Children under 12, 1,500. For ticket information, please contact 988-1857 or visit borough.com/Rhythm Praise. Sponsored by Crosslinks Productions, PNS Events and Vacations, Jamaica Youth for Christ, and Love 101.
Music is a gift from God, and there's no better way to praise Him than through gospel music. JCDC is now accepting entries for the 2024 Jamaica Gospel Star Competition. Singers and gospel lovers, send in your entries. Over $1 million in cash and prizes to be won. Deadline March 31. Only online entries will be accepted at jcdc.gov.gm/online-forms. Remember, Gospel Star is not an original song competition, so choose your favorite song and enter today.
Ooh la la! I see what I want at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Fast Rate. Open Sundays.
Tan, look here. Close your eyes and touch anywhere on the map of Jamaica.
Okay.
With unlimited flow data for navigation apps, we can go anywhere we want to and have more data to do anything we need to.
You've arrived at your destination.
Now, Flow's unlimited social and talk prepaid plans come with unlimited data for Waze and Google Maps, plus more TikTok data and any use data. Get a 7-day Flow prepaid plan for only $950. Get your plan today. Download the Top Up Flow app. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. Welcome everyone to today's Family Time program, and our discussion is things that destroy families. Our question for today: what has caused the biggest rift in your family? So, having thought about the things that have caused the rift in your family, let's explore some of them for the remainder of today's program. And to be sure, there are an endless number of issues between no two families are the same. So, we are going to try to look at different ones. Doc, I was thinking about what has caused the biggest rift in my family. And I don't know if I'm at the biggest yet, because do we have what? Is it bigger, biggest? Maybe
Yes.
I'm not a biggest yet that, but I know a very common one that I don't even know if I should say it's cultural, but when someone passes away and when
Mm-hmm.
someone dies, that is a big one, whether it is a case of deadlift, whether it is
Mm-hmm.
the case of the remains, how one should be buried, are they cremated, or are they buried? I mean, that has caused so much rift across families. And I can speak to a current one that I'm most aware of now, where that is the situation. A big rift where some parties are thinking, hey, I may not attend the service, Thanksgiving service of the loved one, because they're trying to decide, do we do a cremation? And it's a half half for the family. So that's really a big one, Doc. So how do we deal with these situations when, I mean, that's just one of the many complex ones. But how do we get started to get to a better place?
Tamika, that's a very interesting question that you've raised. When it comes to situations like the one you mentioned, one preventative way is for persons before they die to indicate how they wish their possessions to be distributed and even how they wish their body to be disposed of. Because when that is done, and of course if that is done in writing, and if the individual discusses it with family members. Now I know, sometimes we think it's a little morbid to be talking about death, but I'm not anywhere close to being dead. That's another cultural taboo as well. But it only makes sense that if we have these real important discussions from early, well, I wish to be cremated, or I wish to be, buried. I have bought my family plot at Dovecot, or wherever it is, and I wish to be buried. Or there are some persons who will say, I don't, it doesn't matter to me, but I prefer not, one option. So if the family members can first of all think about what their individual preferences are, and of course it has to be within reason. So, you know because at the end of the day, anytime it comes to death and burial, and probating a will and all of that, you're talking about quite a lot of money that is involved. But if in the beginning there is the intentionality where persons will indicate that these are my preferences, have those important conversations with family members so that the burden is not on the family member after the person passes to decide for the person, and then you get these risks. Well, I think this, I don't agree with that. And you can have these very difficult situations and conflicts to deal with. Now let us say that that has not happened. So in the case that you mentioned, the person did not have any living will. They didn't indicate, how they wish their body to be disposed of. This is now when it is important for us to sometimes put aside our personal preferences and to have an important conversation, and to perhaps sometimes we have to meet each other halfway, meet other family members halfway. We have to give and take, we have to negotiate, we have to, within reason, again, look at the advantages and disadvantages. Is it that it's only my preference in terms of an emotional standpoint? Is it, am I coming from a financial standpoint? Is it just too expensive to be buying a casket, buying a family plot at this time? Because we have to be real in today's world, more so than any other time.
Thanks, Doc. You really break it down for us. So we really have to separate ourselves emotionally. I know sometimes it's, you know, cousin and auntie and mommy and daddy, everybody has a different opinion,
Hmm.
but we have to look beyond ourselves and see how best we can come together from a shared perspective of what is best in this case for most, if not
For
all,
most concerned, right?
if not all. Doc, we talk about the dysfunctional and the stages of a dysfunctional family and as God intends for the family to function. Now, a big one, we know God's intention for the family as designed a mom and a dad. And so I have to ask, does that mean a one parent family is dysfunctional?
Not necessarily, not at all. We have several in cases of single parent families who have been excellent in raising their children to be productive, warm, caring, members of society, because that's really the intention. Can parents nurture children in such a way that at the end of the day, they're productive members of society? They are able to have good relationships with their peers, co-workers, schoolmates, other family members. um, do they learn those skills, of being able to negotiate, as I mentioned before? And many times we have single parents who are able to successfully raise their children, and some of them come out better than those who are born in nuclear families who grew up with both parents.
Thank you so much, Doc. I'm so happy that you set the record straight for that. And I know that many of our listeners may be single parent themselves or
Mhm.
have knowledge of single parent families. And so it's like a motor vehicle. It's not so much the packaging, but it's what it has the ability to produce, the outcome. And so you see, I have a little jalopy over here in a dock, and it takes me to and from my location. It
That's
may not
right.
be luxurious or high end. And so I liken that to the single parent family who sometimes um, believe, yes, they are disadvantaged in some ways, but it's good to know that they can have positive outcomes. So single families are not dysfunctional. It's what you produce. You're not dysfunctional by virtue of having one parent in the household as opposed to two.
Not at all. And as I mentioned a while ago, unfortunately, there are many nuclear families with both parents who raise children who are not productive members of society, or who become a burden on society. They can't have warm, loving, caring relationships with others and have families of their own, perhaps because of so many reasons. Some of them are financial reasons. So it's so to speak, the parents may be working so hard chasing the almighty dollar, so to speak, and they are neglecting the needs of the children at home. So the children may not see parents as often as they would like. They're not interacting, spending quality time, praying together, worshiping together, playing together, just going out together. And so that in and of itself can cause rifts in the family, which can eventually tear them apart.
Absolutely, Doc. You mentioned that, and I know we'll share more when we get back from the break. We are headed into another break. This is Family Time Live on Love 101. We are on Facebook and YouTube Live. Family Time is produced by the Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want you to share in today's poll question. What has caused the biggest rift in your family? Let us know via your WhatsApp text or voice note. Remember to keep them 30 seconds or less, and you may send it to 876-997-3125, or you may visit our Love 101 Facebook page and you can leave your comments there. Or give us a call on our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8328 to participate. We want to hear from you based on today's topic, things that destroys family. It's break time, but just before, let's get a word from Rev Mike in today's episode of WTF, Word to Flesh Moments with Rev Mike. Don't go away.
The Bible translation called the Message says in 1 Corinthians 1 verse 10, I'll put it as urgently as I can. You must get along with each other. You must learn to be considerate of one another, cultivating a life in common. This is God's desire for his spiritual family, the church. Therefore, it holds principles for us in the physical realm for our physical families. Families must get along. Families must be considerate of each other. Families must cultivate a life in common. Sometimes when families fall apart, we blame the devil. But before we do, we should check ourselves. The Bible instructs, husbands, love your wives. Fathers, don't provoke your children. Wives, respect and submit to your husbands. Children, honor and obey your mother and father. When these principles are followed by all, family life becomes a pleasant experience. When they're not, there is bad blood. British novelist and playwright Marge Kennedy said, in truth, a family is what you make it. It is made strong by the memories you share, by the commitment of time, caring and love you show to one another, and by the hopes for the future you have as individuals and as a unit. Stop cultivating bad blood in your family today with negative words and actions. Instead, follow these biblical principles and make good family memories together. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Season and Christians all special fast and observance of the most sacred time in the Christian calendar. Love one another. Scotland Road New Testament Church of God for renewal. Join for renewal. To keep your mind focused on the Lenten season. Let us aim to be transformed and discern what the will of God is. Renewal of the mind, right here on the Family Station. Love one another.
Ooh la la! I see what I want at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Fast Rate. Open Sundays.
Run to me cheese, run to me cheese, me yummy. Run to me cheese, run to me cheese, yummy. Don't stop at just a one slice, please. No other one, perfect for me.
welcome back, one and all. It is now 6:07 p.m., and you are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by the Family Life Ministries. Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our discussion this evening is things that destroy families. And with us today is Dr. Carlin Powell Booth, who is a licensed clinical psychologist. And doc, before we went to the break, I know we had discussions on some of the things that can cause a rift in families. And you mentioned the example I gave initially was about debt, but you mentioned finances, money. Earlier, we spoke of abuse. So, I mean, it's really an endless list. It could also stem from lies, failure to accept differences, unforgiveness, separation, divorce, doc, too many to name. But what I want to know, doc, um, how do we distinguish the challenges that we have and know that, okay, this is not something that the family alone can solve, and I may need to get a counselor, I may need to share with someone externally, because I know a lot of times, doc, we try to do DIY, do things on our own. How do we know when, hey, this is not a DIY situation, or do we have a DIY challenge for everything? And if it is, we find that we have not mastered the situation, then that's when we seek help.
Tamika, they usually what is done when a problem is identified in the family is that yes, family members will try to fix it. No, there's nothing in and of itself wrong with that because sometimes the solutions lie inside the family. It depends on whether or not the family has the tools in their toolbox. So just as how you would have a toolbox where you would have wrench and hammer and spanner and measuring tape for certain functions, in the same way, if there are problems or challenges that are identified in the family, internally we can look inside and say, okay, we have identified a problem, now how are we going to fix it? And if it is that different options are tried in the family, different solutions are tried, and things are still not working out. So, it might be a problem with finances where one person may be, you know, um, spending on unnecessary items, but yet the family has a goal that they want to buy a house, for example, right? Um, and there is an agreement that we're going to be saving X amount per month to buy this house. You may have the agreement, but what may happen is that one or more of the family members may not be disciplined enough to put by the $2,000 a month or whatever it is the agreed amount is, and it might cause some sort of friction and argument, you know. And so, if within the family persons can't find the solution. It may be a lack of discipline that's causing one person to continually decide to just spend on frivolous items that are not necessary, and therefore they can't put the money towards, in this case, the savings towards the house. Then perhaps now they may need to go to a financial advisor outside of the family who can provide them with some recommendations that they could try, perhaps getting some forced savings as soon as the salary hits the account, then they agree on how much is going to be coming out so that they don't, it's not left up to the family members, but it is an automatic deduction that takes place. That may be needed, and that is not something that may necessarily be fixed inside the family, so you have to go outside for help, you know. So it's it the recommendation is that internally inside the family unit persons should try to seek solutions. And if it is that they're finding that the solutions that they've tried are not working, then you go to the professionals for help.
Thank you, Doc. I love that. Very practical. So we assess our toolkit that we have to see if we are equipped to deal with the situation. I love to pull for the hammer, Doc, but I can't say that I spare my thumb pain all the times. So I know that I may have it, but I may not be the best at using it. So, I mean, very practically, for the example with finances and money, we talk about it, we say one thing, but we do something else. I see that I have a little challenge saving the money, and so I'm going to look at the alternatives you suggested, having a salary deduction before, very practical as it relates to money matters. Doc, tell me about some practical steps we can look at for a very big one in relationships and families sometimes where there is a lack of communication or
Hmm.
sometimes no communication at all. Sometimes we don't even remember why we stopped talking in the first place, but tell me some practical steps to help with that one.
Well, I'm happy you touched on communication because communication has been identified as easily one of the biggest barriers or rifts that can cause problems in the family. And if I might just share with us, we communicate at different levels. So, for example, at level one, which is the very, very basic level, we communicate just facts, or in those, even before that, we have just the common saying. So, hi, how are you doing? How have a good day, right? That's something that it doesn't generate much discussion. How are you? I'm okay. That's it, right? Or have a good day doesn't even generate much discussion more than maybe a thank you, right? That's at the very basic level. So just some common phrases that are used. And then at the second level now, level two, this is where now we start to communicate facts. For example, um, if a wife says to her husband, she calls her husband on the phone and says, honey, we're out of washing soap. Can you buy some soap for me? Right? She's communicating facts to him. Nothing more than that. And that's all it is. Right? So not much thought or feeling is involved at that level. When you get to level three now, then we start to talk about stating opinions or ideas. So I might say, I don't think it's a good idea for us to move to the country because Kingston has better schools in terms of educational opportunities for the children, right? I'm now expressing my opinion. Still not much feeling involved, but at least now I am engaging in discussion more than just simply transferring of data. And I can invite a discussion to say, well, what do you think? And this is now where persons sometimes don't like to engage other family members because the what do you think might bring some opinions that are contrary to what I think. And if we have persons who are very strong headed and nobody wants to listen to the other party or to accept that, actually what you're saying makes sense, I didn't see it from your perspective,
Wow.
then that can be a problem. So we have to be able to listen to each other. A lot of times when we communicate, we are just blinkered and we don't listen to what the other person is trying
We
to say
want to
to
respond.
us.
We are just trying to get a response across, trying to get our message. And that's when it gets complicated, Doc, when our emotions
Hmm.
are heightened, or as young people say, when feelings get involved. Listen, all our listeners, we are headed into our final break. This is Family Time, and we are live on Love 101. Please be sure to check out our Facebook and our YouTube page. Now, Family Life Ministries. Family Time is produced by the Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want you to share with us what has caused the biggest rift in your family. Remember, you can send a voice note or a text message. You may send to 876 997 3125, or you may call us on our studio lines at 876 968 8327 or 28 to participate. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Importers, the Jamaica Customs Agency is revolutionizing your clearance experience as our contactless clearance process becomes mandatory on April 2, 2024. This process will facilitate the clearance of all non-commercial personal shipments at our seaports with a CIF value of less than 5,000 US dollars being inspected by customs without you or your agent present. You're encouraged to make your payments using our customs mobile app, JA Customs Connect. Fees payable to your shipping agent and warehouse operator remain applicable. For further information, contact your freight forwarder or email contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm or call 876-922-5140 to 8. The JCA's contactless clearance process is convenient, efficient, and secure. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Ooh la la! I see what I want at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fast Rate Super Sale, March 18 to 28. See you there at Fast Rich. Open Sundays.
Welcome back. It is now 6:18 p.m. and you are tuned to Love 101. This is your favorite program, Family Time, brought to you by the Family Life Ministries. Family Life Ministries provide counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. And our topic today is things that destroy families with our very special guest, counseling psychologist, Dr. Powell Booth. Now, Doc, before you went for the break, we were talking about communication and the different stages we have when we communicate fact. We have when we may say something with very little emotion involved, so it may be an opinion. But I know the more emotional we get and the more input we get, then sometimes that's where things tend to get challenging. And we have to try to pull back ourselves to have some kind of restraint so as not to put a stop on the communication where we're only responding or we're listening to respond and only trying to get our points across. So we know that's a big one. But Doc, we have to definitely, as we are on the close to the closing of today's program, I want to know how realistically possible is it for families to recover from dysfunction? So we've identified what are some of the things that make our family dysfunction. Can we recover from them?
We definitely can, Tamika. As believers in God, and God is the one who created families, we have to always believe that with God all things are possible. And if God is the person who created families, then if we're having problems, if we go nowhere else, we should go to Him for help and counsel. Um, so yes, when there is dysfunction that takes place, we it is possible to get the help that we need. Apart from, not just trying to sound cliche, but apart from just going to God, we can also seek help from professionals as well. So we have family therapists, we have psychologists, we have clinicians of various types, mental health counselors who have skills and abilities to help us to, if I could go back to my analogy of that toolkit. Sometimes we don't have the right tools in our toolkit. Sometimes they are worn out, and sometimes we just need some new tools in that toolkit. And that is when now we go to seek the intervention from the trained professionals, whether it is the family therapist, the family psychologist, the counselor, etc.
Doc, I know we have those specialized resources, clinical psychologists, you have your counseling psychologists, the respective agencies that we go to for help. But I know that in the Christ centered view, where we know that God is able to help, how much can the church help when it comes to dysfunctional families?
Well, you see, the church is a family in and of itself, and the church plays a critical role. If a family unit is dysfunctional, then it is the responsibility of the rest of the church members. Now, we don't mean that everybody is going to be getting involved all at once, right? But many churches have family life ministries. They have trained professionals, the pastor, who the same family members can go to and get the intervention that they need, and many of the pastors are trained to deal with what they can deal with, and then if it is something that is outside of their scope of practice, then they can refer. But the church is absolutely critical. One, to recognize that families may be in crisis, and also to provide that support as well. So it may be, for example, that the family is in crisis because they have somebody who has a mental health condition or an exceptionality and they're just not coping. Can the church provide a respite where some of the times the family members can get some relief, just to go out without having these persons to care for? So it's important to be able to recognize that other persons are in need of help in the family, and also to provide again that support. We are supposed to be, our brother's keeper, and that has to be practical. What does that look like in real life? As I said, can I spend some time at the home, giving a family member just the time, or the family members, maybe the parents, time to just take a vacation, or to go out for an afternoon together? It's important that we be aware and to think about, how can I help some more?
Thanks, Doc, for that. Those are all practical steps. It's good to pray, it's good to share with persons, but there's a time when you just have to get all hands on board. The things that we can do allow you to have an evening off. You can go on a vacation or just to go for a walk to clear your head, a walk on the beach, all these things. Practical ways to help. Doc, I appreciate that so much. And I have to ask, so we start to get the help, whether we're accessing it from our church or community or the other resources and agencies. How long will it take? Do I need to establish a timeline to say, okay, look, 2 weeks for this, 2 weeks tops, this supposed to sort out? How long does it take for us to move from dysfunctional to functional?
Tamika, I would say it depends. It depends on the nature of the problem. It depends on the level of severity. So earlier we were talking about, just mild dysfunction, or is it moderate dysfunction, or is it severe dysfunction that's taking place, right? Each situation is different, and so we can't have a one size fits all approach. It's very dangerous to put a timeline on it, because what happens is that it can create a lot of tension and anxiety. If we say in 2 weeks this needs to be fixed, or else what? If within the 2 weeks, we haven't made the progress that we need, then family members need to be patient to know that things don't usually become dysfunctional overnight, and by extension they are not fixed overnight. It's not like, even when we do surgery, physical surgery, the healing takes a while. Sometimes it takes
Yes.
months and years sometimes.
Yes.
But it's important to know that we have to be patient with each other, and we have to acknowledge that, and notice that, you know you're doing better. You're doing better than you used to do before. We have to affirm our family members and to let them know when we notice even the baby steps that are being made, because then persons will be encouraged to continue to make the change that is needed.
Doc, you have told us how to identify when a family is functional from dysfunctional. You have allowed us to make the assessment to know, this is a dysfunctional family. Is someone being hurt? Is someone experiencing any form of abuse? And we can always try the DIY to check our toolkit to see what we have. But when we don't, then you've advised about the different resources and the different agencies that we can seek help from. And most importantly, that you just shared, it will take time to heal. Yes, we can move from dysfunctional to functional, and that is very encouraging. Real quickly, Doc, in 1 minute, as we close, what would be your 1 minute word of advice to someone who may be experiencing a dysfunctional family right now?
Okay, if you are in a situation where you believe you're in a dysfunctional family, don't sit and wish it away because it's not going to go away like that. The best thing to do is to reach out for help, whether that is your pastor if you go to church or a counselor. There's a family life ministries that has excellent trained counselors at different levels who are willing and able to provide the help you need. But if you sit with it, just like how we wouldn't sit with a broken leg or with a heart attack, we have to go and seek the requisite help from the trained professionals in order to make our dysfunctional families become functional.
Thank you so much, Doc, and thank you for being here with us. To our valued listeners, if you have questions of a personal nature or you are concerned about a family member or a friend, give us a call. If you're struggling with any of the issues we discussed on today's program, you can get help. For more information, you may contact our counselors island-wide by calling our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Please note that appointments and cost must be communicated by phone, so please be sure to give us a call at our offices. Otherwise, to keep up with the happenings of the Family Life Ministries and all our programs, be sure to visit Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLM JA. And we are also, don't forget, on Instagram, simply FLMJA. Before we depart today, here is this evening's Bible verse. It is God who arms me and strengthens and keep my way secure. It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. So, to all our listeners, it is God who arms you with strength and keeps your way secure. Psalms 18, verse 32. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our very special guest, Dr. Powell Booth. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, and our studio facilitator, Tamoy Butler. I am your girl, Tamika Scott Walters. See you next time.